Well, Donald Trump's protests have certainly taken a turn for the fascist, but there's also some good news behind that. People are now starting to get his rallies shut down. Now, last Friday night in Chicago, thousands of protesters from a bunch of different groups got together, created enough of a commotion that Trump canceled his rally. Of course, he tried to say that the police told him to, or the police made him, but in fact, it was the decision that he himself actually made. So he tried to make it look like he didn't cower out, when he actually very much did. Now, even going this far, Trump is now starting to get at least some negative press for what he's been doing and what he's been saying. Up until now, if you scream racist at a Trump supporter, that's not an insult to them. They wholly embrace that. They're not like regular Republicans where if you call them racist, they try to deny it. These guys are outright celebratory of the fact that they're racist. Now, Trump very, very clearly is instigating violence at his rallies. He's using violent language, talking about how he's going to kick people's ass or tell people to beat up people who come in and protest him. Now, this has been taken to a new level when a 78-year-old John McGraw, a person who was at a Trump rally, who was a big supporter of his, outright punched 26-year-old Rakeem Jones at a rally in North Carolina. Well, by punch, we mean sucker punch, because come on, let's just admit that's exactly what it was. Now, when cameras finally caught up to the guy who threw the punch, he basically said the guy deserved it, and that the guy was possibly a terrorist, and that next time they might have to kill him.
Like the event?
You bet I liked it.
Yeah? What'd you like about it?
Knocking the hell out of that big mouth. We don't know who he is, but we know he's not acting like an American.
So he deserved it?
Every bit of it.
What was that?
Yes, he deserved it. The next time we see him, we might have to kill him.
So we can definitely see the mentality of the people that are supporting Trump in this situation, and that these incidences are going to increase. And they've already taken off pretty quickly, the amount of violence that's being carried out. So should we really be surprised? I mean, a lot of people are going around talking about how Trump's making them violent and that this has got to stop. This is not the American way. And I say, you know what? This is what Americans are. Americans are an inherently violent people. They're almost constantly at war with somebody. And then they're constantly shooting themselves in their own movie theaters and schools and dry cleaners and minor incidents that don't require violence. This is the American people. The only difference here is that they've got somebody to rally around that's feeding them, and he is feeding them. But this is the whole idea that somehow American politics is non-violent and that the real American experience is not being violent is simply ridiculous. The country was born out of violence. Now, I'm not going to turn into like some kind of liberal crybaby and just complain about violence taking place. I'm down with violence. But don't sit there and say that it's not violence, or don't sit there and say that violence is not a part of the American way. You're damn right it is. It's right there from beginning and all the way until America's end. Violence will be a part of it. I mean, come on, the country was literally born out of a revolution. Part of its citizenship, being able to be recognized as people, was born out of violence in the Civil War. The creation of America was by the violent appropriation of land. I mean, come on. It's just simply ridiculous for, a lot of Democrats to just sit there and say, oh, using this political violence is not the American way. But yeah, actually, it really is. That really is the American way. And I mean, why really complain that people are getting violent over politics? I mean, isn't politics like the one thing that, you would understand there'd be violence over? I mean, it's only determining the direction of the country, what people's rights are going to be, how history is going to proceed. If that's not important enough to use violence over, then I don't know what is. Now, does the American political system really need violence in this case? No, it doesn't. And in this case, the violence is very reactionary. But you can't go around saying that politics can't be violent or that it's inherently not violent, because that's just a load of crap. I think what's really important here is not to so much denounce the violence by Trump supporters, but to counter it. I mean, come on, what are you going to do? Appeal to their conscience and tell them to stop being violent? I mean, that's just absolute nonsense. if you as Lenin said, you have to be as radical as reality itself. And if this kind of violence is going to be thrown at you, you're going to have to throw that kind of violence right back. Thank you for watching. Why don't you go ahead, rate, comment, subscribe, and share on various social media. And if you want, you can head over to my Patreon page and show your support. Or you could head over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.